You know what I don't get?
What?
Why was there ever a United Nations?
I don't know. What did it do?
That's the thing. It could do stuff, but it had major limits. The UN aided third world countries and helped fight AIDS.
So what was wrong with it?
That's about it. It had no real power. Example. The UN kept drawing lines in the south for Saddam Hussein. Every time Saddam crossed a line, the UN shrugged off and drew another that Saddam would proceed to cross.
Why didn't they do anything about Saddam?
See, that's just it. They couldn't do anything about it, unless the Security Council, that was made up of 11 members, 5 permanent and 6 rotating, voted to have something done. And 7 nations, including all of the permanent members, voted yes. They couldn't do much of a damn thing. It was too much of a bureaucracy to do anything. Other organizations, such as NATO, actually got stuff done.
Then why didn't NATO take over as the governing body?
NATO isn't big enough to govern the world. That's why the Pulp Nations was created.
What were some of the other issues with the UN?
Well, another problem was terrorism. The UN didn't know what to do about it. They couldn't figure out who to support, the terrorists, or as country members of the UN.
Why didn't they support the countries supporting them? It seems pretty bad for the big nations that gave the UN lots of money. How is the UN's money situation?
That's another thing. Many people felt that other organizations could have done better with the kind of funding that the UN got.
Speaking of which, how's our money situation?
We're getting a little low. It had been a while since the last job, hasn't it? That's okay, I've got a plan. Garçon, coffee.
What is it?
You know how everybody is good at knocking over gas stations, quick stops, liquor stores, things of that nature.
Yeah?
This thing's getting real dangerous now that they're being run by people wielding shotguns. There's an untapped resource though. What about restaurants?
What about them?
They've got lots of money in the register. All of the patrons got wallets, with even more. And do you think that some schmo working for $1.50 is really gonna care if you stiff the owner? This place is a gold mine.
I bet we could really cut down on the hero factor in a place like this.
Bet we could. Pretty smart, huh?
Let's do it.
I love you, honey bunny.
I love you, pumpkin.
Okay, everybody be cool. This is a robbery.
Any of you people move and I'll execute every last one of you.
So tell me about this Pulp Nations thing again that I'm joining.
Okay, what you want to know?
Well, it's like the UN, right?
Well, it's similar, but it ain't 100% the same. I mean, they're very different on certain types of policies.
Like the use of force.
Yeah, it breaks down like this. There are different councils made up of country leaders, just like the UN, But there's a greater emphasis on the Security Council. The PN banned maintenance of any army other than a token defensive force. And each country, no matter the size, population, or economy, will have an equal force. This alone makes war virtually impossible.
But one of these rich nations could take over the councils, right?
Well, it's illegal for them to do that. That's a right that countries of the PN don't have. I mean, the beauty is that there's an overall chairman named Marcellus Wallace who has veto power over all the councils and controls agencies single-handedly. Marcellus Wallace has no connections to any country and is very uncorrupt. He's like a dictator, man.
Whoa, dog. But now let's say one of these countries doesn't go along with the regulations.
Well, that's the fun part. If countries themselves as a whole attack the ideals of the PN, then the army of the PN comes in and takes care of the situation. These are people from all over the world who disassociate themselves with their homelands and enlist into the army of the PN. But if it's just some radical group of terrorists like the gentleman we're about to visit, then people in our line of work are sent in and handle the situation.
Oh man, I'm joining. That's all there is to it.
No, baby, you dig it the most. But you know what the funniest thing about the Pulp Nations is?
What?
Well, if two countries have a problem with one another internally, then two methods are used. First, the diplomatic party will be sent in to talk it out. If that fails, and there is a threat of war, then a one-on-one battle royale is arranged between a representative from each side. This brings an end to civil war, and it's also a method of boosting the PN budget through ticket sales.
That's right, boys.
Yeah. And that's one of the main changes that makes the PN superior to the UN. With the ability to not be bulldozed around by superpower countries, they are able to keep trade free and unmonopolized. And they can share technologies that lead to the betterment of mankind. And you know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in the PN?
They don't call it a quarter pounder with cheese?
Well, actually they do.
Man, what you talking about, Vincent? We should have shotguns for this kind of deal.
How many Koreans up there?
3, maybe 4.
Counting the South Korean?
I'm not sure.
So there could be 5 Koreans up there?
It's possible.
We should have shotguns.
You remember Antoine Rockamora, right? Like he dressed himself up as a Buddhist monk, kicks, you know? Used to call him Tony Non-Violence Horror.
Yeah, maybe. Bald, right?
Well, I wouldn't go as far as to say the brother's bald. He got a hair problem. But what is he gonna do? He's old.
Yeah, I think I know who you mean. What about him?
Well, Marcellus banged him up real bad. And the word on the streets is he was on account of Marcellus Wallace's wife.
So what'd he do? Give her a foot massage?
No, nothing that bad.
Well, what then?
He watched Gandhi with her.
Gandhi?
Yeah, you know, starring Ben Kingsley.
I don't watch TV.
No, it's a movie.
Oh, well, I never heard of it.
Yes, but you are aware that there was a man named Gandhi, and because of him, the Indians were liberated from the British?
Yeah.
Well, he did it by using non-violence. Now, had the PN been around back then, none of that stuff would have happened. They would have just gotten some guys to kick the junk out of those British until they allowed the Indians to have their freedom.
Yep, that's what would have happened. That non-violence garbage would have worked to an extent, but if the PN were around back then they would have made sure them Indians got their rights a lot faster. But anyway, what did Marcellus do to Antoine?
Sent a couple dudes over to his place. They took him out on the patio, threw him over the balcony. The dude fell 4 stories. Since then, he's been unable to eat solid foods, and he needs a special toilet.
Well, I have to say, you play with matches, you get burned.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, you can't be going watching Gandhi with Marcellus Wallace's new bride.
You don't think he overreacted a bit?
Well, Antoine should have expected a reaction.
It was Gandhi. Gandhi's nothing. I watched Gandhi with my mother.
It's a movie about how non-violence solves problems. I mean, the supreme chairman of the Pulp Nations ain't gonna want his new wife being exposed to that. Antoine should have known better. Marcellus ain't gonna have a sense of humor about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good point. We shouldn't fill our heads with non-violent thoughts. Anyway, here's the door. Let's get into character.
Wait a minute, what's her name again?
Mia. Why are you so interested in the big man's wife anyway?
Well, Marcellus is leaving for the Iraqi Council, and while he's gone, he wants me to take care of her.
Take care of her?
No, not that. Like, take her out to a movie or something.
Not Gandhi.
Right, not Gandhi.
Hello, boys. Do you mind if we come in? So you guys know why we're here and who we are? I asked you boys a question and you didn't answer. I consider that an insult, and you don't want to insult me right now, so I'm going to ask you again. Do you remember who Marcellus Wallace is?
Yes, sir, we remember him.
Then you know why we're here.
Well, boy, you going to tell my friend Vince here where you hid the contraband?
It's under the...
Shut up, boy! I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing! Vince, we cool?
Yeah, we cool.
Look, gentlemen, we are sorry for the mix-up between us and your employers, but we had the best intentions.
Let's have a history lesson. What does Marcellus Wallace look like?
What?
What country are you from?
What?
What ain't no country I ever heard of, and I'm with the PN. We work with all of them. Do they speak English and what?
What?
English! Do you speak it?
What?
Say what? One more time. I dare you. What does Marcellus Wallace look like?
He's black.
And?
Balding.
Does he look like a dog?
What?
I said, does Marcellus Wallace look like a dog?
No.
Then why are you trying to boink him like one?
I'm not.
Don't lie to me, Brett. You signed the World Disarming Weapons of Mass Destruction Act, didn't you?
Yes.
All right then.
I think you're gonna find, when all this crud is over and done, I think you're gonna find yourself one smiling person. Thing is, Butch, right now the United States has got power, but painful as it may be, power don't last. Now that's a hard fact of life, but it's a fact of life you're gonna have to get realistic about. This world is filled to the brim with unrealistic country leaders who thought their countries aged like wine. As the American representative, you're scheduled to fight the Iraqi boxer to finally settle this war that started way back in 2003. And I know your country's got a history of winning wars, but this war has got to be different, Butch. The Pulp Nations needs to even the playing field here. We can't afford to let the U.S. occupy Iraq no more. Now on the night of the fight, you may feel a slight sting. That's pride screwing with you. Well, screw pride. Pride leads to stupid wars. Pride makes countries with power want more power to fight through that American pride. Because a year from now, when you're kicking it back in the Bahamas, you're gonna say, Marcellus Wallace was right.
I got no problem with that, Mr. Wallace.
In the 5th round, your butt goes down. Got it?
Yep.
Well, say it.
In the 5th round, my butt goes down.
What is this place?
This is TGID Days. It's a World War II themed restaurant.
Thank goodness it's D-Day. Come on, Mia. This is stupid. Let's go get a steak.
You can get a steak here, Daddy-O. Don't be a...
Don't be a rectangle.
It was a square.
It looked like a rectangle.
Shut up.
Hi, I'm Adolf. What can I get you?
I want the General Eisenhower steak.
How do you want it? Burnt as Dresden or bloody as Normandy?
Bloody as Normandy. And to drink, a vanilla Coke.
Gotcha. How about you, Peggy Sue?
I'll have the Mussolini burger, bloody, and a $5 shake.
How do you want that shake? Fat man or little boy?
Fat man.
You know, if Pulp Nations was around back then, we would have just shot you in the face. I mean, all the signs were there. We knew you were going to be a potential threat, but did anyone do anything about it? No! We just sat back and watched you rise to power. And by the time anything was done about it, it was too late to save the millions of people you slaughtered. You should be ashamed of yourself, Mr. Hitler.
Leave me alone, I'm just a waiter. I don't know anything. I'll be back with your drinks. Here are your drinks. I'll be back with your food in about 10 minutes.
Hey, thanks. Nice costume. Yeah, I could have taken out that dirty Nazi. That would have stopped the war.
That wouldn't have stopped the Japanese from attacking Pearl Harbor, though, would it? Meaning the war would still have happened, wouldn't it?
Well, after the PN stopped Hitler, they would have talked to the Japanese and made treaties with them. So they would leave China alone, which would have made it so the war wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, so what if the treaties don't work, and we still get attacked by them? What then?
Then the PN would have taken the Japanese leader out of commission, and we would have made sure that another ruler came into power, one who wasn't set on killing the Chinese. And the PN wouldn't have let the US use the nuclear bomb. I mean, that's just too much. The US didn't need to kill hundreds of thousands to make a point. Pulp Nations is all about killing people to make points, but we kill a minimum amount of people. You see, a few people kick the bucket so the majority can prosper in peace. Doesn't your husband tell you this stuff?
We never talk about his job, but really, I don't like the Pulp Nations. I think there ought to be a way to do things without killing anyone.
Oh, well, hey, there's something I've wanted to ask you, but you seem like a nice person, and I didn't want to offend you.
Oh, this doesn't sound like some mindless, boring, getting to know you chit-chat. This sounds like you actually have something to say.
Nah, forget it.
Trying to forget anything as intriguing as this would be an exercise in futility.
Well, here goes. What do you think about what happened to Antoine? You know, the Buddhist guy?
He fell through a window.
That's one way to say it. Another way is he was thrown out. Another way is he was thrown out by Marcellus. And even another way is he was thrown out of a window by Marcellus because he watched Gandhi with you.
Is that a fact?
It's what I heard. And it makes sense, because now you're all peaceful and anti-PN all of a sudden.
Look, Marcellus doesn't care what I watch or who I watch it with. He knows I'm against the PN.
Really? Then why'd he marry you?
Because I give really good foot massages.
Whoa.
Let's dance.
Okay.
It was a teenage wedding and the old folks wished him well. You could see that Pierre did truly love the mademoiselle. And now the young monsieur and madame have rung the chapel bell. C'est la vie, say the old folks, it goes to show you never can tell. They furnished off an apartment with a two-room robot sale. The coolerator was crammed with TV dinners and ginger ale. But when Pierre found work, the little money coming worked out well. C'est la vie, say the old folks, it goes to show you never can tell. They had a hi-fi phone, oh boy, did they let it blast. 700 little records, all rock, rhythm, and jazz. But when the sun went down, the rapid tempo of the music fell. C'est la vie, say the old folks, it goes to show you never can tell.
Oh, Eskimo outcomes, you know it goes. Ah. Oh, you are a good doggy.
Butch.
Good. Good doggy.
Butch, stop watching TV a second. We've got a special visitor. Now, do you remember when I told you your daddy died in a POW camp? Well, this here is Captain Coons. He was in the POW camp with Daddy.
Hello, little man. Boy, I have sure heard a lot about you. I knew your daddy pretty well. I was in a POW camp in Nam. When two grown men are together for as long as your daddy and I were, they take on some of each other's responsibilities. If I had been the one who didn't make it, your father, Major Coolidge, will be at my house right now talking to my son Jim. This pen here was first bought by your great-granddaddy before he got shipped out to fight in Germany. It was called the Great War, but now it is called World War I. Your great-granddaddy fought hard, and he won a lot of awards. It appeared that this pen gave him good luck. When your granddaddy went off to fight the Germans in World War II, your great-granddaddy gave him this pen for good luck. Unfortunately, your granddaddy ran out of luck. About 3 days before your granddaddy was killed, he knew that he was staring death face to face. There was a cargo plane leaving. Your granddaddy talked to a man named Winoki and gave him this pen and asked him to return it to his infant son, your father, who he'd never seen before. This man Winoki, a man who didn't know your grandfather at all, came through on his promise and delivered the pen to your father. This pen was in your father's pocket when he was captured by the Viet Cong. This pen your father saw as your birthright, and he refused to allow the Viet Cong to get their hands on it. So he hid it up his poop chute for 5 years. After those 5 years, your father died of dysentery and entrusted the pen to me. So for the next 2 years, before I was set free, I had this large chunk of metal shoved up my anus. With this pen, your father wrote a document about how he thought a world organization should be run. He called it the Pulp Nations. This charter outlines what your father thought was how a world organization should work, because he was not pleased with the way the new UN had been organized. His new charter was written to be effective, not necessarily to be kind, but to keep the world in an orderly place. Some of his ideas people may think are a little extreme, but he had the best intentions behind them. If the Pulp Nations had gotten involved in the Vietnam conflict, he would have made sure that the United States didn't get involved. A representative from both North and South Vietnam would have been brought together to duke it out. Now, I give this pen to you.
Butch, we're ready for you. Let's go.
Well, Dan, that had to be the bloodiest and hands down most brutal fight this country has ever seen. The American Coolidge was out of there faster than I've ever seen a victorious boxer vacate the ring. Do you think he knew Willis was dead?
My guess would be yes, Richard. I could see from my position here. The frenzy in his eyes gave way to the realization of what he was doing. I think any man would have left the ring that fast.
So now, according to PN rules, America has beaten Iraq.
Yes, America has beaten Iraq.
Alright, I want you to go take care of Butch. And if he flies to Indochina, I want somebody waiting on the other side to pop out of a bowl of rice and put a cap in his ass. You got that? Alright, good. Yeah, Vince is here to see me. Gotta go. Vinny, I need you to take care of Butch. You know, go to his house. Make sure he don't wake up tomorrow morning. Got it?
Got it.
Alright, get out of here.
Where to?
Anywhere, just drive.
You got it, bud. You were in that fight tonight.
Oh, really? I'll give you that idea.
So how'd it feel killing that guy?
What guy?
The guy you fought. He died.
Well, I really couldn't tell you. I didn't even know he died.
I guess this country is under presidential rule.
That's why I got paid.
Did the PN pay you to kill him?
Actually, this one was fixed. I was offered a lot of money to throw the fight.
Why didn't you?
Well, there are a few reasons. One being the reason I took the job in the first place. I'm not about to stand by while some extremist PN puppet bastard takes over. And also I knew the PN would give some good odds and try and make a lot of money off the gambling. So I put money on myself.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, speaking of which, could you pull over for a second? I want to use a payphone. One thing she could have forgotten, she forgets my father's freaking pen.
Marcellus Wallace look like a dog?
No.
Then why are you trying to boink him like one?
I'm not.
Don't lie to me, Brett. You signed the World Disarming Weapons of Mass Destruction Act, didn't you?
Yes.
All right then. Let's go, Marvin. You're coming with us.
Die, your mother!
Who the heck was that, Marvin? Did he slip your mind?
Yeah, I guess he did.
Man, I'm about to bust a cap.
Hold it, man. We don't need that kind of complication. If he dies, the situation could elevate real fast. We don't want to start a war here. But how did that guy miss us?
It was just a lousy shot, I guess.
Nah, man, that was divine intervention or something.
Come on, let's go before we start a war.
Man, that was some divine intervention back there.
Ah, man, we were just lucky, that's all.
Look, don't tell me it was luck that saved us back there. We should be dead right now. That was the hand of God coming down and saving our sorry butts.
Whatever, man.
Really makes you think, doesn't it?
Think about what?
About how we're doing all this stupid stuff. Killing people. It's a waste, man. We were given a second chance back there, and I'm taking mine.
Man, you're talking crazy.
Look, man, as soon as we get this sorry SOB to a safe place, I'm calling Marcellus and I'm telling him I'm out of the game.
Man, it wasn't a sign. It was just a random act of chaos. Marvin, what do you think about this?
Oh man, I don't even have an opinion.
Well, you gotta have an opinion. I mean, it's the right of every citizen of the PN to have an opinion, and I'm asking you to express that.
I told you, man. I don't have no opinion.
Man, what the hell was that?
Oh, man, I just shot Marvin in the face.
Vincent, you better be joking, man.
Look, it was an accident. I didn't mean to. You must have hit a bump or something.
The car didn't hit no bump.
Well, the gun went off. It was just an accident.
An accident that got brain and blood all over the back of my car in the public road on broad daylight. Man, we gotta get off the road. God damn, Jimmy, this is some gourmet stuff here. You know, me and Vince would have been satisfied with that instant coffee stuff. And then you spring this gourmet stuff on us. What's the flavor?
You can knock it off already, Julie.
What?
I'm not a dog. I don't need you to stick your nose up my butt. I know how good the coffee is. I'm the one who buys the coffee. When Bonnie goes to the store, she buys crap. I buy the good gourmet stuff because I want to be able to taste it. But you know what's on my mind right now? It ain't the coffee in my kitchen. It's the dead Korean in my garage.
Now, Jimmy.
Now, hold on. When you guys came barreling in here, did you see a sign on the front of my house that said Dead Korean Storage?
Jimmy.
Now, hold on. Answer the question, Jules. Did you or did you not see a sign on the front of my house that said Dead Korean Storage?
Nah, man, I didn't.
And you know why I didn't see that sign?
Why?
Because it ain't there. Because storing dead Koreans ain't none of my business. That's why.
Jimmy!
Now, I ain't through. Now, you don't understand that if Bonnie comes home and sees that body in her house, she's going to call the cops. And if she calls the cops, the Koreans is going to find out. And if the Koreans find out, it's going to start a freaking war. And the last time the PN in North Korea talked about this stuff was the last time that the PN in North Korea was going to talk about this stuff. I want to help you out, Julie. I really do. But I ain't willing to start a war over it.
Jimmy!
Don't even try to Jimmy me, Jules. There's nothing you can do to make me forget that. And do you know how World War I started? Over a freaking body, just like what we have here. The Archduke Ferdinand was murdered by some idiot and it triggered the Great Freaking War. Now that we got the PN, this ought to be taken care of, and quick.
Well, to be fair, you know, that whole situation was completely different. I mean, World War I was started because Austria-Hungary and Serbia got in a fight and they dragged in all their enemies. Now countries are smart enough not to do that because of the whole battle royale thing.
Whatever. Bonnie works the night shift at the hospital. You guys got an hour until she's in the driveway. So if you got to, make your phone calls, talk to your people, and then get out of my house.
Thanks, Jimmy. That's all we want. We're sorry to mess your stuff up, but we just want to make a couple calls and get out of Dodge.
Well, you're messing my stuff up right now, Jules. Okay, so just hurry up and get out of my house.
Okay, so if she comes home, what do you think she'll do? Of course she's gonna flip. That's not an answer.
Look, you got to acknowledge what a troublesome element this situation is with Bonnie. If she comes home after a night of work and finds a body in her garage and a couple of gangsters in her kitchen, she's gonna flip. And she's gonna at least call the cops, not to mention get my buddy Jimmy in trouble. And if this thing gets reported and the Koreans find out, you realize we've got a war on our hands.
You get the idea, Jules. Right now, I'm just thinking about all the ifs.
I don't want to hear about any ifs. What I want to hear is, you don't got to worry, Jules. I'm on the problem. Get back in there and calm those peoples down and wait for the artillery, which should be arriving directly.
You don't gotta worry, Jules. I'm on the problem. Get back in there and calm those people. And wait for the wolf, who should be arriving directly.
You sending the wolf?
You feel better now?
Well, why don't you just say that at the beginning?
How many in there? Names? When does she arrive? Jules? A body minus a head. Okay. It takes 20 minutes to get there. I'll be there in 10. Jimmy, right?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Winston Wolf. I solve problems.
Good, because we got one.
So I understand. May I come in?
Sure.
You must be Jules. So you must be Vincent. If I understand the predicament correctly, there's a car covered in blood, a body minus a head, and a wife coming home pretty soon that wouldn't act too calmly to the situation.
That's right.
Your wife Bonnie, she comes home about 9 in the a.m., is that correct?
Uh-huh.
My understanding is that if she finds us here, we're gonna have another set of problems.
Maybe bigger than this one.
That gives us about half an hour to be on the road and gone. It's not a lot of time, but if you do what I tell you when I tell you, we should be fine. You two clean the car out. Not so good as it's pristine. Just collect skull, tissue, and pools of blood. Windex the windows, clean too. Jimmy and I will get the blankets to cover the inside of the car. Let's get to work, gentlemen. Strip.
All the way?
To your bare buttocks.
Is that completely necessary?
Do you two know what you look like?
What?
Like a couple of guys who just blew off somebody's head. Yes, stripping off those bloody rags is absolutely necessary.
But the blood only got on our faces. Our clothes are clean.
Look, don't argue with me. I'm the wolf. It's my job to cover up any mistakes made by the Pulp Nations. We can't have the people of the world believing that the PN has flaws. So pretty please, with sugar on top, take off your freaking clothes. Don't be afraid of the water, boys.
Oh, cold!
No, up in the face. His face, there you go.
Hey, the morning cold.
Better to you than me. No, get over in his hair, over there.
Get it out, get the stuff out of my hair.
Give him the towel, Jimmy.
Okay, Mr. Wolf.
Thanks.
Alright, Jimmy, now the clothes.
Right. Here you go. And here you go.
Perfect. We couldn't have planned this better. You guys look like... What do they look like, Jimmy?
Dorks. They look like a bunch of dorks.
Ha ha ha. You're closed, Jimmy.
Okay, gentlemen, that concludes my business. I'll see you two around. Stay out of trouble, you crazy kids.
It was a pleasure to watch him work.
You wanna go get some breakfast with me?
Sure.
Hey man, why you all serious and stuff?
I just been thinking
About what?
about the miracle we witnessed back there.
The miracle that you witnessed. I just saw a freak occurrence.
What is an act of God?
It's when God takes the impossible and makes it possible. I don't think that what happened this morning qualifies.
Well, it's just that, Vince, you don't measure miracles on merit. Maybe it wasn't an according to Hoyle miracle, but that's not what's important. What's important is that I've been touched by God himself. God got involved.
But why?
That's what's screwing with me. I can't figure it out. But I do know that I can't go back to sleep.
You're serious about quitting the life?
This life, most definitely.
Garçon, coffee.
Seriously, you gonna quit the life?
Why not? God touched me. He said, Jules, you gotta stop. I don't know why. But then I got to thinking about that conversation we had earlier.
What, about the quarter pounder with cheese?
No, about Gandhi, the whole Gandhi thing. Now I'm thinking that maybe I ought to try something like that for a while. There's got to be other ways to solve problems without leaving bodies left and right.
You're crazy, man. Change your life over a freak occurrence.
That's just where you and I differ, Vincent.
Okay, I'll give you that it was peculiar, but it wasn't any water into wine.
All shapes and sizes, Vince.
Stop talking like that.
If you find my answers frightening, you should stop asking scary questions.
I need to use the bathroom. To be continued.
I love you, honey bunny. Okay, everybody be cool. This is a robbery. You! In the bag. Who you want in the bag? What's that case for?
It's my boss's dirty laundry.
So your boss makes you do his bloody laundry for him?
When he wants it clean.
Like a pretty bad job to me.
Funny, I was just thinking the same thing myself.
Open it!
Sorry, I can't do that. I hate to fracture your ego, but this isn't the first time I've had a gun pointed at my face.
If you didn't open the case, it'll be your last. Okay, I'm counting to 3. You better get your hand off the case. We got that? Or there'll be a problem. 1, 2, 3!
Okay, Ringo, you win. It's all yours.
Open it. It's bloody beautiful.
Okay, Ringo, now I'm gonna count to 3. And when I get to 3, you're gonna drop the gun, put your hands on the table, and sit down real nice. And it's all gonna be cool. Got it? 1, 2, 3.
Be cool, honey bunny.
Who are you talking to?
My beautiful girl over there.
Okay, now this is the situation. Usually, you'd both be dead right now. But you happen to catch me in a bit of a transitional period. I want to help you. I don't want to hurt you. But I can't give you this case because it ain't mine. And I've been through too much trouble this morning to just let you have it.
What's going on over here?
Vincent, be cool. Just hang back and don't do a thing unless it's absolutely necessary. Okay, Ringo, go in the bag and get out my wallet.
Which one is it?
It's the one that says bad motherfucker. Okay, now open it and take out the money. Go on, count it. How much is there?
It's about $1,500.
Go on, take it. It's yours. But I'm not just giving it to you. I'm buying your life. You ever read the Bible, Ringo?
No, I haven't.
Well, I got this passage I memorized from Ezekiel 25:17. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the inequities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who in the name of charity and goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of the darkness. For he who is truly his brother's keeper is the finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon you. Never really thought about what it meant. I just thought it was something cold-blooded to say before I cap somebody. But now I'm thinking something a little different. Now I'm thinking that you are the righteous man, I am the shepherd, and the PN is the selfish and evil. I know that ain't the truth, but I'm trying real hard, Ringo. I'm trying real hard to change that. Now go on.
Come on, honey bunny.
I think we better go.
I think that's a good idea.